How many of you went to college, are going to college? Hands? It's always been expensive, never more so than today. And for someone who has gone beyond their um, college, their regular bachelor's studies, and moved on to a postgraduate degree, it's even more so an investment in money, in time, and really pursuing passion. We're going to be talking to a lady today who is doing just that, pursuing that passion and seeking creativity in the things that she's doing. It's an interesting conversation. So put on the brakes, grab a cup of coffee, and join the conversation because it's time for Coffee Breaks with Steve. Well, welcome to Coffee Breaks with Steve. I'm Steve, and this is the show where we come together around our virtual coffee table each week and join the conversation to chat about interesting topics with amazing guests. If you're joining us for the first time today, welcome. And if you've been with us before as a member of our brew crew, welcome back. Yeah, we're gonna be getting into a conversation in just a few minutes that I think is very inspirational. And sometimes we go, well, yeah, I'm in a stage of life, I'm well beyond that, and I don't have any kids or others who are currently going to college. I think just the pursuit is quite interesting, and I really think you're going to enjoy this conversation overall. And so I just encourage you to be here and to stay with it and listen to what our guest today has to talk about. I do want to encourage you, if you are here joining us, to say hello in the chat. Let us know that you are here. And we do ask that you keep the comments in the chat relevant, conversational, and tied into what we are talking about. And I just want to welcome all of you here. If you are with us for the first time, let us know how you're finding us and what brings you here today. All right, listen, I do want to share a little bit about our sweet and savory as we get into our conversation. Hi, Kathy. It's good to see you here. I just want to share a few things that are going on. Did you boy, I can't even talk today. I'm going to need a lot of coffee. Did you by any chance hear the story in the last week or so about the little 5-year-old boy who has become something of a talking point within a major airline and beyond because of what he discovered? I'm going to share a little bit of this young man's story with you right now.
You'll see pilots and airline personnel sharing their love of aviation with kids all the time. And at least once, a kid did them a solid by improving their training manual. Our Byron Reed caught up with that preschooler from Arvada.
You're on the tips of the wings.
Traveling by plane takes you on a journey.
Because they get you from place to place a lot faster than a car does.
For 5-year-old William Hines,
I love flying.
it's a mode of transportation that hits home.
I don't have to walk 7,000 miles.
William is a pre-kindergarten student at Campbell Early Learning Center with a passion for flight.
That shows them how many degrees the engine is.
He's very mechanically inclined, and so I suppose it was a natural progression to want to know about more fascinating things.
Amber Hines is William's mom. She says his passion took off thanks to a connection with the Southwest Airlines pilot who brought William a company training manual.
And sat with him for 2 hours going over the charts and just talking shop with him.
But William noticed something was a little off.
I discovered that 2 terrain monitors did not match. They did not match at all. That is closer up and that's farther up.
I had no idea that one of our friends had started a job with Southwest Airlines, but she said, "Can I pass these along to my manager?" And I said, "Sure, that's fine."
That's when the CEO of the airlines found out, then invited William and his family to Dallas for a VIP tour.
So we went down to headquarters. It was amazing. Everyone there was very, very welcoming, and we definitely had the tour of a lifetime.
I got to go in a simulator, and the simulator pilot was Chris, showing how close.
It's an experience this family will always remember.
That heats up the cockpit.
Because of William's attention to detail that might land him in a career he already loves.
Then I can support people to a place.
For next,
Like 140 people.
I'm Byron Reed.
One of the things I love about this and this kid is that he, sometimes it's a little bit almost unsettling when you have a little kid who is very knowledgeable and they talk like an adult. What I love about this little boy is that he's talking like a little boy. He sounds like a 5-year-old, and I love the fact that he is still 5, but he is so knowledgeable about the subject and about airline flight. So best of luck to him as one of these days I could be flying on an airliner and this young man is the one piloting. And you know what? I might actually feel pretty safe given how much he already knows. Yeah, I want to welcome all of you again to the show. Do ask you again to make sure that you are keeping your comments, say hello to us. Make sure you let us know that you're here and where you're tuning in from. And when we get into our conversation, please join in the conversation. I want to share a few birthdays that are coming up this week. We have several special days coming up this week. Today, Patrick Jinks, a very, very knowledgeable expert in a lot of areas, a coach and leader in the nonprofit community, and just a great guy. Been on this show before. Patrick is celebrating a birthday today, so we wish you a very happy birthday, Patrick. Karen Sparks, my aunt, celebrates a birthday. She's one of those rare people who has a birthday in a leap year. Her birthday is on February 29th. There is no February 29th this year, but we're celebrating today and wishing her a happy birthday as well. So happy birthday, Aunt Karen. And then another one of my aunts, Mary K. Garrison, celebrating a birthday this coming week on March 2nd. Happy birthday, Auntie Mary K. And my son, Christopher, I got a lot of family celebrating birthdays this week. Christopher is celebrating a birthday this coming week on March 4th. And a recent guest on the show, Richard Dawson from Edinburgh, Scotland, who joined us a few weeks ago to talk about Scotland, to share a little bit about Edinburgh, celebrating a birthday on March 6th. And so we wish Richard a happy birthday as well. Do you have a special day this week? Do you have one coming up? It may not be a birthday. Maybe it's an anniversary or something else special. You can let us know that in the chat if you've got something coming up this week that you would like us to celebrate and acknowledge with you. And if you have a birthday or another special day coming up even in the next few weeks or months ahead, and you'd like us to be aware of it so we can put it on our calendar and make sure that we do celebrate with you, you can send us an email to cbwsteve@comcast.net, and we will be sure to put that on our calendar and make sure that we acknowledge and celebrate your special day with you when the week comes for that. All right, listen, I want to tell you a little bit about our guest and tell you a little bit about the topic as we get ready to share the conversation. Alexa Tomkowiak is a master's student of poetry at Eastern Washington University. She's a mental health advocate, an environmentalist, and she strives for her writing to be both strange and truthful. Her work has been published in arts magazines, including Spokane Falls Community College's Wire Harp and Eastern Washington University's Northwest Boulevard. I had a great conversation with Alexa and now want to give you the opportunity to hear from her and be part of the conversation as well. Alexa Tomkowiak, welcome to Coffee Breaks with Steve, and thank you for taking the time to join us today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. You know, we talked a little bit in introducing the segment about the fact that you are currently pursuing a master's degree and that your area of study and the things that you're interested in involve creative writing. And I think one of the places that's always fascinating to start is background. When and how did you first become interested in creative writing, and how did you see that play out in your earlier years?
Well, I've always been a storyteller. When I was a kid, I did a lot of acting out full movie scenes in my room alone. And I did acting as a child, so that kind of was always a part of me. And then my mom is a bookaholic. She has so many books. Specifically, she collects children's books. So as a child, I read a lot. And growing up, I was just reading constantly. I read a lot of fiction, and that is what inspired me to start writing. I was pretty bad at it. Granted, I was a child, but I wrote a bunch of half-finished fiction stories. I loved English class. I just loved writing. I loved doing argumentative essays. Everyone always hated those, and I was so excited. So I really fell in love with writing that way. And then it wasn't until really high school that I learned about poetry and all that poetry can be other than just rhyming. And Dr. Seuss kind of stuff.
Right.
So yeah, I really fell in love with poetry as a form, and the freeness of it.
Just out of curiosity, do you still have, or did your mom keep any of those early attempts at writing stories and writing poems?
I'm fairly certain there's still a few notebooks and journals or in the house that have those old stories in there. Very not finished. I don't think I ever finished a fiction story in my childhood.
you have already gone through and gotten your bachelor's degree.
Yes.
What was that? What did you get that degree in?
I got my degree in creative writing at Eastern Washington University. It wasn't my first major choice, but I switched after a year to creative writing because I just wasn't happy. I'd gone into film originally, which was kind of a last minute stressful decision that I made because the deadline had come up to apply for it. So yeah, I wasn't really happy with it. So I switched to creative writing because, so I actually started at SFCC. I did a associate's degree, a transfer degree, because I knew that I would eventually want to go on to a 4-year, but I had no clue what I wanted to do. So
when you say that you started at the community college and getting the associate's degree, looking back at that, do you think that was a wise decision? I mean, giving yourself, and I'm thinking about this because there are other people going to be watching this, some of whom may have gone through, are currently going through, or looking ahead to what they want to do in their continuing education. Do you look at that? I mean, everybody's path is different, but from your own perspective, Alexa, do you look at that and still say, that was the right thing for me to do?
Yeah, absolutely. Community college is less expensive than a 4-year. And since I knew I didn't know what I wanted to do, I didn't want to waste money on a degree that I didn't want, which I sort of ended up doing with film anyway, but less time probably than I would have wasted. I got to do so many different fun classes at the community college. I really loved the college that I went to, Spokane Falls. The teachers there were great, and there's so many students from all sorts of different backgrounds. There's people who are 80 there, and there's people who are 16 still in high school, so you really get to meet so many incredible people. And that is actually where I was introduced to the creative writing community in Spokane. I took some creative writing classes and English classes with Tim Greenup and Laura Reed, and they introduced me to the Wire Harp, which is the SFCC's literary magazine. So I worked on that for a year or two, and yeah, that's sort of where I was introduced to it. And even though it took me a little bit to sort of come back to creative writing, I think that was definitely a huge part in my journey to creative writing.
So you eventually get your bachelor's degree at Eastern Washington, and now you're pursuing a master's degree also in creative writing?
Yes.
And
poetry.
Okay. And so I think it's kind of time to change gears a little bit. Why? You got the bachelor's degree. You could go out, you could start writing books, you could start doing write for a magazine or do whatever, probably. Why a master's degree?
Well, I really want to teach, and specifically at a college level. I do not think I would do well teaching children or teens. I think I would swear in front of the children and the teens would make me cry. So I really want to teach at a college level, though, because I've had so many teachers that have inspired me over the course of my journey. And I really want to be able to do that for other people. So, and for most college level teaching positions, you do need a master's degree. So,
yeah. What do you find are some of the challenges, or have been some of the challenges, of going into pursuing a master's degree?
Yeah, well, first off, I want to say I am extremely blessed to have parents that have been helping me through college, paying my tuition. So I think that already puts me at a very privileged place to be able to do this program. I know many people wouldn't be able to afford it, and Eastern already is a lower tuition college, which is one of the reasons that I really wanted to go to Eastern, because I knew that since my parents were funding this, I really didn't want to spend more money than I needed to for what I wanted to do. And for me, staying close to my family was really important, and going to like a more expensive, more maybe notable school wasn't at the top of my list.
What are you finding in this program now that you are involved in it? What do you enjoy the most about the studies that you're participating in now in your master's program?
Honestly, the biggest part of this program, I feel, has been the community of it all. We have some internships that are a big part of this program that are specifically to help us get out in the community and teach poetry or workshop fiction. I'm currently doing an internship with Mary Smith, working on the Youth Spokane Poet Laureate program, which you can apply to now if you're ages 14 to 17. That is going to be really exciting when our Youth Poet Laureate gets chosen. Yeah, that aspect of community and this like cohort that we're building of these like-minded people who are starting to learn like our writing, and we all workshop each other's writing. That has been really important for the growth of my writing, and honestly, my confidence in myself and my writing and my decision in going to the master's program. Because I think one of the best things that you can get out of a master's program like this is that community that you've built.
In terms of people who are influencing you or have influenced you in your goals and desire to teach, are there specific people who you look at and you would want to emulate their style, emulate their approach? And then the companion with that, are there authors of fiction, authors of poetry, whose styles and approach you really appreciate and who also influence you? So we'll start with teachers.
Yeah, basically every single one of my teachers, especially at Eastern, all of the creative writing professors have been really helpful and influential to me. They are all so smart. They know so much about the craft, and they're very uplifting and easy to work with. There is one teacher who is actually not a creative writing teacher. He's an English professor, Dr. Kenny, and I took so many of his classes just because I loved his teaching so much. When he taught, you could tell that he loved the subject that he was talking about. You could tell he was excited to share that information with the class, and that just always had me engaged and wanting to learn from him. So I think he definitely will influence my teaching style the most.
Yeah. What about authors and poets? Are there any that both you that you particularly love to read yourself, or that their styles are things that you would want to make a part of your own approach to writing and presenting to others?
Yeah, I have some book examples here. As a queer Percy Jackson kid, I obviously have to love Sappho. That's mandatory.
Yeah.
Then in that same vein, I love Ovid. This is Metamorphosis, and it's a very thick version of it. It's translated by Alan Mandelbaum. And I really like this translation because it's so thick and it's very lyrical and like epic poetry. And then Ralph Waldo Emerson is another one of my favorites. He also does a lot of essays and a lot of what's in this book are from his essays, and I really love those. Tomas Transtromer, he is sort of similar to my poetry, or I guess I'm sort of similar to his poetry.
Okay.
We have similar styles, so I really like his poetry. And then a more recent book that I read, Rodeo by Sunny Brown Wilkinson. She's actually coming to my school to speak tonight after this.
Very good.
And I really, really loved this book. And yeah. And then
That's great.
Maya Jewel Zeller, she is a local poet here. I know she has like been great friends with a lot of my teachers, and I really love her poetry. I don't have one of her books with me, but yeah.
Yeah, excellent. Those are great examples too. Let me ask you this, as someone whose goal and desire is to teach others, why do you feel personally that it's important to teach creative writing? Why do you feel that it's important to share the things that you do write, and both as an art and as a discipline? What do you think are the drivers that make that important?
Yeah, well, I think storytelling has always been a part of us as humans. You know, we have this sort of innate desire to tell stories, to share information, and creative writing is like a way to connect people. It's a way to share your voice, and your, political feelings even. That a lot of people say art can't be separated from political. I believe that. And I think poetry definitely has a big place in politics.
You talk about that your main goal, your main emphasis is being prepared to teach at the college level, but you also talked about some of your own writing. And I'm curious as to whether you have any personal goals about publishing anything yourself, and if so, where does that kind of fit in with the other goals that you are pursuing?
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I definitely want to publish some books at some point, get my poems published in like magazines, literary magazines. But honestly, that's not my main focus. My main focus is writing poetry that I enjoy, writing poetry that resonates with me, because I've found that something that made poetry really important to me was reading other people's poetry and them like being able to explain feelings and experiences that I've never been able to put words to. And so like it's really important to me to write about like mental health, about issues with self-image, spiritual beliefs. It's really important for me to write about all of the like truth of my life. And so while I do want to publish so people can read that, like if I don't get published by Penguin House and get 1 million readers, that's not really my goal. My goal is for at least a few people to read my poetry and get some sort of feeling out of it, get some feeling of like, oh, like that's what I've never been able to put into words.
As we're getting ready to kind of wrap this up, Alexa, I'm wondering, first of all, what is your personal advice to people who may be considering pursuing a degree in any area? You mentioned you kind of started in one direction and then really were able to follow your passions. But I wonder, do you have any thoughts that you would want to share as kind of, the experiential advice for people who are trying to decide what next? Is they're maybe finishing high school, or maybe it is an adult who has gone down a particular career path and looking for the next thing. Do you have any just thought? It doesn't even have to be advice, just, kind of what is your encouragement for people?
Yeah, I would say there's so many options. I don't want to like say you have to go to school, you have to get a bachelor's degree or a master's degree. You definitely don't. There are so many jobs that you can get straight out of high school. There are so many different trades that you can go down. And if you do want to get a degree, I would say do it in something that you really love. Because, like, for example, when I left the film program, I couldn't continue it because I dreaded doing it every single day. I didn't want to do it. And now that I'm in the creative writing program, like, one of the only things that's kind of pushing me through is my love for what I'm doing, my love for writing. And that, like, is what's helping me get through it. And a lot of people, specifically with like the arts, creative writing, art degrees, things like that, they're looked down on a lot because they can't get jobs. But I think people who say that don't really understand all of the different kinds of jobs that require art, require writing, require those skills. There's so many different things that you can do if you research what it is that you want to do. Just follow your heart, even though that's so cliche. But really, I think life is too short to do something that you're not happy with. And if it's something like you have to do something you're not happy with to get to where you want to be, then great, you know, push through, you got this. But if you're going to be miserable doing something, switch your path.
How do you get to the point where you are willing to take the risk to be vulnerable, to let other people read some of your creative work?
That's a good question. I think for me, I do still struggle with that, especially with fiction. I still really don't like the fiction that I write, so I find it hard to share that with people. I think that's like kind of going into that aspect that I was talking about where you need to like I need to like my poetry. I don't need it to be liked by other people. I need to like it. And so I think it's so much easier to show people what you've written, even if it is vulnerable, if you yourself like it, if you're excited about the craft moves that you've done, the language that you used. Because that's like the art of poetry, you know, is putting things together in a way that wouldn't be said in normal conversation. Usually, you know, there's some poems with a casual tone, but they're evoking some emotion, some feeling out of the reader.
You referred earlier to the strength of community in the cohort. Do you find that having that also provides whether a safe space or at least a commonality that makes it a little bit easier to share within those groups?
100%, especially in the master's program, because it is like we're all here for this, you know? And so like workshops are kind of a sacred place, you know? Like we all understand that we're in this cohort together and we're here to make our writing better. So, and like I said before, we kind of get to know each other's writing and the writing styles. And so like in my poetry workshop that I'm in right now, it's really fun because sometimes someone will submit a poem and then we'll all be like, whoa, this is so new for you. Good job. Like you really switched up themes here.
Wow.
So yeah, it really does create this like space where you all get really comfortable with each other and comfortable giving each other feedback.
Anything else, Alexa, that you would want to share before we wrap things up today?
I would just say, if you like to write, keep writing. Even if it's just for yourself, writing is such a good way to process your emotions. And personally for me, I love turning like negative emotions into something that I like with my poems. That really helps like reframe the issue in my mind, and it gives me something positive out of a negative experience. So I encourage everyone to write, even if it's just a little bit a day. Sometimes I'll literally just jot down like a sentence in the notes app on my phone, and that's my writing for the day. But really, if you can get into a habit of writing, it's so beneficial to your mental health, and you will get better the more you write and the more you read too. Read so much. Read everything that you can get your hands on. If you want to be a writer, that is how you are going to get better.
Alexa Tomkowiak, thank you so much for sharing your story, for sharing your journey, for being vulnerable here about some of the things that have gone on and are going on in your life. And we just wish you the very best as you continue to pursue your own educational endeavors, and looking forward to how things will pan out as you have the opportunity down the road to become that teacher, to become the person who now influences others. Best of luck to you.
Thank you so much.
I do want to say thank you to Alexa Tomkowiak for taking the time to join us to share so much. I love the diversity of the people who we have the opportunity to have join us here on Coffee Breaks, because we get to hear so many different perspectives. You know, when we have someone on who has been around the block for decades, they have one perspective. When we have the opportunity to chat with someone like Alexa, whose journey is at a different stage in life, there is no less wisdom. There is no less knowledge and understanding of the world around us. It's just a different perspective. So Alexa, thank you so much for your willingness to share. And we do wish you the very best as you go through this. I happen to know that Alexa is, from conversations, spending many hours pursuing this master's degree, and I know it's going to pay off for her. Listen, I want to share a little bit about what's coming up in the next couple weeks with Coffee Breaks with Steve. And we've got a couple of great shows also coming up, and we've got some more on the horizon that we're working on. But we've got this one coming up next week. There is a theater program in Oregon, in the Portland metro area, called the Experience Theater Project. And their entire theater program is based on what they call immersive theater, different from interactive theater, which you may have experienced, where members of the cast will come out and you know, like Murder Mystery Theater or different things like that, Tony and Tina's Wedding, where members of the cast will interact with the audience. And Experience Theater Project does some of that, but a lot of what they are focused on is immersive theater, in which the placement of the actors with the audience is not on a stage separated from, it's in the midst of, and it's just an entirely different approach. You're going to hear from their artistic director, 2 members of their board, and learn about this fascinating theater program next week. And then in a couple of weeks, we have another younger person joining us who spent time overseas in Cyprus studying and living as an expat in another country. And we're going to find out from her what that experience was like. Different from Alexa, who is pursuing what she is doing here at home, close to family. We're going to hear from Kirsty Staben, who spent time across the pond in a completely separate country with a separate culture and language, and learn what that was like and what she learned from that experience. So you will want to be here for those conversations as well. We've got more coming up that you will want to follow and tune in for in the coming weeks. What are the topics you'd like to discuss? You are the Brew Crew. You're in this conversation. Who are the guests you'd like to see? Do you know somebody that you think would be a fantastic guest for Coffee Breaks with Steve? Would you send us an email to cbwsteve@comcast.net? You see it there on your screen. Let us know the ideas that you have. Introduce us to the people in your circle who you think might be a great guest and be able to share. Think about the things that we learn from people like Alexa Tomkowiak. things that we have learned from guests who've been on here that you've watched in the past weeks and months and even years. We want to continue to build on that and to grow from that. And that reminds me to let you know, if you haven't already done so, after you get done watching today, if you're not already on YouTube, some of you may be watching from YouTube right now, but if you would go to our YouTube channel, which is easy to find, you go to YouTube and you put in Coffee Breaks with Steve in the search or CBWS in the search, you'll get to our YouTube channel. And if you're not already a subscriber, would you please subscribe? It's growing. We're seeing more subscribers come on board there. But if you would please subscribe to our YouTube channel, if you would share that with others, if you would watch and like the videos there, it's going to help raise the visibility of our YouTube channel. And what does that mean? It doesn't mean that I'm going to get famous. It means that our topics and our guests get to a broader audience who really would benefit from hearing. How many people out there maybe right now would be inspired by Alexa Tomkowiak and her story and her journey? How many people out there would be touched and moved and inspired by some of the topics and guests that we've had on even in recent weeks this year? So if you would please do me a favor, do our guests a favor, do yourself a favor, and get to the YouTube channel, subscribe to that, like it, love it, whatever is involved in that, share it. Yeah. Listen, I've talked enough today. We've shared plenty, and I do appreciate you all being here. There is, I don't need to go into details. There's a lot happening in our world. There's a lot happening in the broader world. There's a lot happening around us, and we all have passions. We talked about pursuing what we're passionate about in today's conversation. We all have passions, and some of them are driven by just things that we want to see happen in the world, and some of them are driven by things we need to see happen in the world. We all can be advocates. We all can be ambassadors. We all can be the hands, the feet, the voice that can truly touch lives. And so would you please find a way to make a difference in your world this week? God bless you. Have a great week. We'll see you next time on Coffee Breaks with Steve.